and take care of their families and do the things that they want to do, which they deserve to do as Americans.
Earlier, we showed our audience the Wall Street Journal article reporting that the White House has announced a total of 172 trips by administration officials outside Washington to tout the effects of the stimulus package. My question for you is, are you happy with the results of the investment made by the federal government in the stimulus package?
Of course, it's created or saved over 2 million jobs, so yes, I am. But initially, I wanted the package to be at least $1 trillion, and it was short of what I thought we should invest in creating jobs and the economic recovery effort. But when you look at the fact that while the economy has not completely turned around, 400-some thousand jobs were created last month, we have to recognize that this economic stimulus recovery initiative is working. I, of course, think we need to move forward, and members of Congress really are working on trying to create, again, another economic jobs program so that we can have direct investment in jobs, such as in our infrastructure. There are shovel-ready jobs right now that if we create more work for people, they could start working tomorrow. The healthcare industry is a growth industry. We need to create more workforce training programs that pay people while they're in these training programs so they can be prepared for the jobs of tomorrow. When you look at the green industry, this is an enormously high growth industry. Trillions of dollars are going to be invested in green jobs. We need to right now prepare young people and others who have been laid off for those jobs. And so we need to create more jobs, and that's why many of us are supporting the Miller bill, which will provide for an infusion of federal resources to create jobs in the public and private sector, to create jobs for people who need jobs and who want to work. And so while the stimulus package has worked, and I'm glad that the administration is going out explaining this, because so many people would be suffering even more if they had not done that. And so I was proud to have supported it, and I think that we need to do more, and we need to come up with a comprehensive jobs package that's going to train people and employ people in the high growth areas and industries, and we need to do that quickly.
Your state, California, particularly hard hit, still doesn't have a budget yet, is that right?
Still don't have a budget. I served in the legislature for 7.5 years. It's a tough place. There's a 2/3 requirement to pass a budget. Minority, in essence, rules in California. We need a majority rule budget. Hopefully, the budget will be settled soon, because so many people, the safety net is just being totally eroded in California. Seniors, our young people, those who need some form of support. You know, it's a very sad time.
Does California have particular situations that make its challenges more difficult than other places in the nation?
Well, remember, we're a nation state, over 30 million people. We have, actually, California is a state of innovation. We have Silicon Valley right next door to my district. We have high-tech, biotech. We have some industries, growth industries of the future, but we also have a lot of people who need educational skill, who need education. Our education system has not been what it should be. We need more workforce training. We need skills development. We need on-the-job training. Huge, unfortunate prison budget, where we've moved down this track. I always call the California prison budget the military budget of California, because as a result of the unfortunate 3 strikes law, we're incarcerating nonviolent offenders for drug offenses and other offenses, when really we should have more re-entry and more funding on the front end to help young people stay out of a life of crime and off the streets. We need to invest in education and after-school programs. And so we have many of the issues that the entire country has, but I think when you look at California, because our population is so great, those problems and those issues are magnified tenfold.
For Congresswoman Barbara Lee, next is Bossier City, Louisiana. Floyd's calling us on the Democrats line, and Floyd, you are on the air. Welcome to the conversation. Floyd, you got to turn down the volume on your TV. Go ahead, please. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, sir, go ahead.
Yes, I just want to compliment Miss Lee there for all the tough stands. She's taken some tough stands over the years. I watched her come up through Congress there, and she's taken some stands alone, and I'm very proud of her on that. However, I want to make a statement here this morning. I'm 75 years old, and I've retired Air Force. And I stay with the C-SPAN, I stay with Fox, I stay with MSNBC, and this Fox network, I won't discuss them because that's another issue. However, I look at the amount of congressmen and senators that's working up there on the Hill, and those that have retired. Most of those people are millionaires. Why in the world would they want to draw Social Security checks upon retirement? This money needs to be replaced and stay into the system for people that actually need this money. And this is something that might want to go around the country and make a statement to the people about the great statement that President Kennedy made. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Thank you, Floyd. Let me jump in there. Means testing of Social Security is his proposal.
Well, I think, first of all, let me thank him for his service. My dad was Lieutenant Colonel, 25 years in the military side. I'm a military brat, and I really know the sacrifices you've made, and just want to thank you, and thank you for calling in. You know, I think we have to preserve Social Security for everyone. You know, people work all their lives, military included. You deserve your military retirement, but also you deserve your Social Security. Social Security has been a safety net for many who have no other resources, but also it's helped for the quality of life for those who have paid their dues to the country and have worked for so many years. So I think that we should preserve Social Security. We do not need to privatize it. Of course, now there's more discussion about raising the age and, you know, all of the Republican proposals, but I don't believe those are going to work. They should not be considered, you know, because when you look at what happened with Wall Street and all the, you know, debacle that occurred where people lost their retirement savings and 401ks. I think Social Security has got to be preserved, and we've got to fight to preserve it, and we've got to make sure that everyone who has paid into Social Security receives their checks, and that, I think, is really our job as members of Congress to protect Social Security.
Question for you about where you personally and the Congressional Black Caucus fall on the question of the $13 trillion debt the country has right now and the importance of debt reduction with the state of the economy.
The importance of debt reduction is extremely important to the Congressional Black Caucus. And let me just say, we did, and you have to remember, when Bill Clinton left office, we did have a surplus. And we understand that. And we also know that the deficit now under the Bush administration has increased in a way that is scary, and it continues to increase. We do not want to leave this debt for our children and our grandchildren. The way you get out of this hole, and we have to dig ourselves out of this hole, is one, got to make sure people are working. You have to have consumer spending. That in itself helps reduce the deficit. When you look at the health care bill and health care reform, that helps reduce the deficit. The public option helps reduce the deficit. When you look at ways that we could address the military budget, $700 and some billion, use some of that budget to help create jobs and economic opportunities, that could help reduce the deficit. When you look at the huge tax cuts under the Bush administration for the very wealthy, we've got to stop that. That will help reduce the deficit. There are many deficit reduction measures that economists have said are prudent and that we should enact to help reduce the deficit. But I'm going to tell you one thing. I think in an economy such as ours at this point, where people are suffering and people are desperate and don't have jobs, many of us voted for this pay-as-you-go, pay-go. I didn't like it, mind you, but I voted for it. And you know why I voted for it? Because there was an emergency designation in PAYGO that said in emergencies, you know, we can provide for job creation efforts and not have to really address the pay-fors, as we say in Congress, until the economy turns around. The jobs program for young people should be designated an emergency designation. Many of the initiatives that we're working on, the temporary assistance for needy families, should be designated an emergency designation until we can dig ourselves out. And so I think we have to work on the deficit, but we have to remember that consumer spending and job creation is a major strategy to help reduce the deficit, and we don't see